Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Red Alert 3 once again. This time it is going to be a m8s 4-player FFA. And for those of you who aren't super hip and cool, that does mean free-for-all. And for those of you who are super hip and cool, well, I'm sure you knew that anyways. But anyways, it is going to be m8s 4 players and a free-for-all, which means it's going to be an all-out war of total chaos and carnage. At least I hope. I haven't actually seen this, but we are going to be starting with Eminence as the Green Soviets on the right side, and Messican as the Purple Empire on the top side, and on the left side as the Cyan Soviets. It is time for change, and as the Red Allies, we are going to have vruatsa, who is a player that recently cast a game between, I believe, him and I have no idea who. I think I recently cast a vruatsa game, and I still haven't been corrected on the pronunciation of that name, so I'm going to assume that I'm saying it right. But anyways, we are going to be seeing a refinery followed up by most likely a second refinery after grabbing this oil derrick by vruatsa. Eminence, on the other hand, already got his 2 refs up because he did go for that crane, selling off that barracks after grabbing over here. I can only imagine he is going to be grabbing that. Yes, there's the engineer for that oil derrick, a little bit slower, and it does look like Messican going to be going for a mecha bay, already getting up his 2 cores and grabbing his own oil derrick. And all of these players going for the oil derrick. Actually, time for change, going for a little bit of early harassment, building a naval yard and producing some scorpion, or not some scorpion, but rather some stingrays. And he too is now on 2 refineries. So now all of these players have not teched up at all, but they have gotten up to that tier 2. No, those 2 refineries. If I could speak, then you would actually know what's going on. But we do have the super reactor going down for Eminence, getting up to that tier 2, and all of these players are going to be sending units around the map, doing a little bit of scouting, but also it does look like vruatsa is going to be moving on to expand over here, and it does look like Eminence has already expanded over here. He is going to be going for that expansion after throwing down the naval yard. And Messican on the top side going to be expanding with some dojos, possibly trying to just recap this area over here, hold it down a little bit, and grab that oil derrick while grabbing while producing some Tengus. And it does look like time for change, actually going to be drawing first blood and doing a little bit of damage here. By first blood, I do mean the first actual attack of buildings, actually taking out quite a bit of quite a few peacekeepers. Not a big deal, as this multi-gunner turret will take these down no problem if they are in range. They are going to be trying to do a little bit of damage. I'm not sure why time for change isn't to knocking down another wall segment to have both of these stingrays firing at once. And he is going to be trying to capitalize even more on the death of this refinery. And it does look like vruatsa isn't really going to care too much, as he's already expanded and he doesn't have a whole lot there to hold off. Possibly going to be dropping down another multi-gunner turret. I don't know why he didn't just take out the walls over here instead of going over here and splitting up his damage from the stingrays. And it does look like Javelin Trooper is going to be able to clean up that one stingray. And actually, oh, Eminence, what in the world are you doing, being super wonky and crazy and silly, throwing down dual barracks and following it up with a Tesla coil push in a 4-player free-for-all, and also sending a map around, or sending a bear around the map, not a map around the bear. And we do have a couple of Tengus flying around for Messican, and going to be basically decimating the base of vruatsa. That is time for change. Going to be changing a little bit. I mean, is time for change actually like a politician, or maybe he just likes presidential races or something? He's like, hey, it's time for change by me blowing stuff up. And actually going to be trying to do a little bit of damage with a multi-gunner turret. vruatsa is going to get taken down by this Kula sub, and are we going to be seeing some, no, not engineers, but rather flak troopers all get annihilated by that MCV, packing it up at just the right second. And it is going to be dogs versus Barrett amplifiers, roar going all over the place, and actually having to pack up his MCV and move it in onto the land out of range of that multi-gunner turret. And what is going to be happening on the land, really the only action between Eminence and also vruatsa, but just kidding, because Eminence is about to take serious damage from these 3 striker VXs, and maybe even the Tengus will get on the action. The crane will go down, which means no more buildings for, actually he's not currently building anything, but no more buildings will be going down for a little while from Eminence, and this could be actually a huge amount of damage being dealt by these 3 chopper VXs. Going to be able to take out the Tesla coil and then most likely turn on the flak cannon before it starts shooting them down. But I would have to say vruatsa probably not going to be able to do a whole lot more in this game. Did he lose his MCV? I think he did. I do not see it anywhere on the map, which means he's just got a barracks and that is it. Although he is still rocking 1 ore refinery, I'm kind of surprised he is still in this game. He does have a Peacekeeper over here. Maybe he's going to be able to come back from the entire game with just that, but we do have more flak troopers out of time for change. And actually, the super reactor going down just in time to see the last bit of the animation, but good control of the chopper VXs, and actually going to be pulling up some bullfrogs here, chase them away, but that won't do much, just kind of force them into a, well, I guess the jet Tengus will take them out sort of mode, because, hey, they can't shoot. Well, bullfrogs will take out the chopper VXs, so he transforms them, and then he uses the jet Tengus to chase away the bullfrogs so that he can resume blowing stuff up with his chopper VXs, rebuilding the super reactor, which is not something you want to have to do, especially this early in the game, losing that tech and going straight back to tier 1, which means no more Akula subs out of the naval yard that he just sold off, so it doesn't even matter. But it does look like Messican going to be in pretty good shape. I wouldn't be surprised to see Time for Change actually turn his attention and start fighting Messican, since vruatsa has basically been taken out and he doesn't have a whole lot left going for him. He's going to be slowly producing Peacekeepers. He's going to try and force it, make an army out of this, and not even having an ore refinery left to get some income. Messican is most likely going to be out of it, or vruatsa is most likely going to be out of it. Messican, on the other hand, definitely not out of it. And we do have 3 bullfrogs and an Akula sub heading up to the north side to do some damage to Messican. Probably not going to be able to do a whole lot, especially not with the tsunami tank and not with the Akula sub. Actually, the bullfrogs turn around. I was going to say this bullfrogs may very well get taken out. This Akula sub might be able to do some damage to the Imperial docks and maybe even take down that ore refinery and slow down the economy of Messican a little bit, but I think from now on it will be mostly, unless Eminence just kind of gets a free ride here and is able to not get attacked in the next 3 or 4 minutes, so he can actually rebuild and get back into this game, because he is still sitting on, I guess, just 2 ore nodes, which is pretty standard. But the rest of these players, Messican actually not up to, he's only up to 4 right now, which only up to 4. He could be on 5 pretty easily, though. He does have a Yari mini-sub, going to be able to take out that Akula sub. Another Yari mini-sub does look like he sacrificed his life to try and kill that Akula sub, and it does look like Time for Change deciding, I mean, maybe he has a secret pact with Messican, and they're like, hey, we won't attack each other until the end, and that's always super annoying in a free-for-all, because it's supposed to be that, a free-for-all, and he's probably like, oh, wow, Eminence already got cleaned up over here, so I guess I'll just kind of evac and go up north to try and fight some Messican. I think Messican probably has a tech, well, definitely has a tech advantage by this point over Time for Change. Time for Change going to be expanding further south with his MCV, and it looks like he's going to be setting up a Sputnik down in vruatsa's old base. We are going to be seeing still just tier 1 out of that Imperial Docks. Hasn't quite bought that tier 2 upgrade just yet, and the dog does get horribly murdered, so no one tell PETA, because they'll probably make a mock-up of this game as well, because that's apparently what they do. It saves animals and stuff. But also going to be, taking out the Sputnik, so vruatsa not entirely out of this, just being super annoying, and he could actually sell off these wall segments and that command hub just to get a little bit of cash back, and also get a free Peacekeeper out of that command hub. But going to be taking down the oil derrick of Messican, going to be leaving him with just 1, and no one has decided to take this without, which, I mean, you'd think Messican could take it, but just dogs running around the map, or rather swimming around the map for vruatsa, trying to see what in the world is going on, even though he's completely out of it. No, a huge force of tsunami tanks. That's a tier 2 that I was talking about, versus those stingrays. Of course, tsunami tanks are going to absolutely crush stingrays, especially in those numbers, and now Akula subs are going to be really the only thing left between Time for Change and, well, between Messican and Time for Change. And actually going to be turning his tsunamis around. He must not realize how far he is ahead, and Messican just going to be playing it a little bit safe. I wouldn't be surprised to see him re-expand out here, or maybe even over here, just to get his economy back on track and get it fully saturated once again. He is, of course, back to those 4 bases. He needs to expand at some point, get up to 5 and maybe even 6, so that he can just go crazy on the macro and pump out a lot of stuff. And actually, these Javelin soldiers, I guess, are not quite in range of the, oh man, destroying, absolutely decimating that barracks. And actually the micro out of vruatsa is good enough to avoid that Molotov cocktail. Going to be able to take down the Tesla coil in time, maybe, but we are going to be seeing a little bit of action up here, mostly just some flak troopers, so a little bit of distraction from these bullfrogs. Going to be throwing some flak troopers onto the land, not actually doing anything. And are these Akula subs going to be able to swing around the back and do some damage to those tsunami tanks or not? Vruatsa is still trying to make something happen. He's going to cap something with an engineer, maybe. Actually, he could take over from Eminence, which actually Eminence going back and rebuilding even the airfield in his main base, and he should be up to those 4 ore nodes as well. Still got a bear running around the map, and oh, the Akula sub versus tsunami tanks, and the point defense drones being so useful in the tsunami tank, getting a surround on that Akula sub. Not quite as important in this game, getting surrounds, but they are rather nice. I'm going to be switching over to those nano machines to get a little bit of a speed boost. I'm going to be most likely producing twin blades, as there isn't a whole lot of reason to produce the MiGs out of that airfield. But it does look like Time for Change is going to be in some serious trouble, especially since he's out of power. That Tesla point going to be completely useless in this battle. Getting it back online just in time, most likely deploying his MCV, and it is in range of those Javelin troopers. vruatsa can do absolutely massive damage to Time for Change if he wanted to do that and take out that MCV, which I wouldn't be surprised to see him start doing that. And it does look like Bullfrog going to get completely taken out, but wall segments going down like crazy from Time for Change. He's desperately trying to draw enough time for the Dreadnought to get off enough shots to do some damage and force these tsunami tanks back, but is it going to be enough? And another wall segment does go down, but the super reactor is almost down to half health, taking out the wall segments, focusing them down bit by bit, and going to be trying to, actually I don't think he's in microing that, I was going to say trying to micro around that one tsunami tank to draw the fire of the, and there is the super reactor going boom, but trying to micro that single tsunami tank around to draw the fire of those two now Dreadnoughts, but they are going to be taking out the oil refinery and then most likely backing out of there and moving his MCV back, because he did take quite a bit of damage from those super annoying Javelin troopers as they are in that laser lock mode. But actually going to be going for another refinery port with that Emperor's Rage upgrade going, or support power going to be used, and twin blades being produced by Eminence and Messican. What has he been doing other than that? Not a whole lot. He doesn't look like he's expanded too much, and by that I do mean not at all in terms of ore refineries. He hasn't been producing a whole lot of stuff either. I feel like he was just worried about the micro of his tsunami tanks, and we are going to be seeing MiGs not doing anything. I guess they're just spotting, doing a little bit of scouting, keeping an eye on those tsunami tanks, which is important because that is still a fair-sized force of tsunami tanks, 7 in total, but we are going to be seeing a lot of Yari mini-subs, a couple of Naginatanas, and also a C-Wing or two. Yes, 2 C-Wings going to be there. But a whole bunch of Bullfrogs deciding to run themselves over here. I have no idea why. Maybe he didn't want to keep his units together because he thought it would be boring. But we do have a single twin blade to do a little bit of damage, and it does look like one of the Bullfrogs does go down, but then a Terror drone jumps out of there and grabs that tsunami tank, and sacrificing a tsunami tank for the greater good, or rather for the cause. And the Sea-Wings are going to be here to chase away those air units from Time for Change, and going to be expanding over here, but Eminence will have none of it, and a couple of the Akula subs will force a sell-off of that ore refinery. And, oh, he did, oh my gosh, vruatsa actually back in this game, recapping that Soviet MCV. I completely missed that, and wow, that was actually a pretty crazy move. I was like, wait, where did he get an MCV? And then I was like, wait, that's Soviet. Wow, vruatsa, it's showing that he is not out of it. I counted him out of it quite a while ago, but actually going to be throwing down a crane, then going for reactor, most likely will sell off that command hub, and then re-expand to his main base, which sounds kind of weird, but a Dreadnought going to be going down, and this could be it for Time for Change, and a huge lag spike there for absolutely no reason. But another Dreadnought is going to be out, but there isn't a whole lot else. I mean, yeah, Tier 3 is great, but not when you can't support it with anything but Bullfrogs, which, spoiler alert, Bullfrogs don't really do a whole lot this round. And a single Stingray is not going to be able to do anything, even with that secondary ability, and these two naval yards will most likely go down quite quickly, and the Sea-Wings will be able to take care of the twin blades if they actually attack them and not attack the MiGs quite easily, although there is only one Sea-Wing, and it is going to be going down quite quickly there, getting taken out by those 2 twin blades, and it will have just enough to finish it off, which means this other Sea-Wing over here will finish off that second twin blade, and we are going to be seeing Eminence actually not deciding to get into this fight. I think that is a very wise choice by him. He just needs to sit back, macro up a bit, and see if he can get back on his feet and become another serious threat, which actually at this point he is a serious threat in this game. And going to be re-expanding up here, setting up base, and going for, there's going to be 5 expansions, or rather 5 core modes, not expansions, and everything is getting taken out. The airfield going down, super reactor and reactor being sold off, and this is most likely going to be it for Time for Change, although I've said that before and been wrong about vruatsa. That is going to be it for Time for Change, going to be the first one leaving this game. I thought he was going to be able to stay in quite a bit longer, but somehow Eminence and also vruatsa able to just stick around, and so that's got to show you the absolute power of deciding to, sit back and just, you got one unit really, and you Okay, I'm gonna stop right there. I was trying to talk and it just wasn't working out. So you gotta stop when you're behind so that you don't fall further behind. And Eminence going to be running up here with a bear, just kidding, a couple of bears, and the rest of his force will be following, and I do not know that he'll have enough to take out 4 Shoguns. Messican may be able to close out this game unless something super wonky with vruatsa happens. Vruatsa going to be expanding over here to this expansion, trying to get up to those 3 ore nodes, and still Messican deciding to only expand over here, which, I mean, he's expanded here and over here, which gives him 4, but he's been sitting on those same 4 bases for so long that cannot be good. At this time, he could have taken 5, 6, 7 bases, as I'm sure his home ore nodes are probably nearly mined out at this point, and the Akula sub's actually being able to do quite a bit of damage, and actually a single Akula sub and a couple of bullfrogs taking the damage from the Naginatanas. If Messican was actually paying attention and able to keep his forces together a little bit better, he would have not taken quite so much damage, and now the Naginatanas are here, they're going to be able to clean up these Akula subs quite quickly, especially with the help of the Yari mini subs, and one more Shogun battleship may go down, or will it be saved? No, it does go down right there, and that is going to be it, folks, for Eminence's naval army, because the rest of them will get taken out unless Messican is just going to let that single Akula sub just chill out and shoot his buildings. But no, the Akula sub decides to turn around for absolutely no good reason and die, getting surrounded by Messican's units and getting taken out. Even the Twin Blade's going to be pulling back, and a flak cannon is going to be going down just to protect that expansion a little bit. And vruatsa going to be allowed to just stay alive and expand to a super reactor in the corner, because that is always the best thing to do. Just if you're going to tech, hide it in the corner of the map where people aren't going to find it. And then when you get down to that single building, you're super annoying and everyone hates you. That's how I play anyways. And a massive amount of jet tangus, which you'd think, you know, at being tier 3 and being able to expand to this entire side of the map basically freely, Messican would be doing more than just building jet tangus. But no, he is going to be massing a huge amount of jet tangus for basically no reason, and producing a couple of more Shogun battleships to mix in with his naval army, and actually a fully heroic or fully veteran Naginatana cruiser should be able to do quite a bit of damage unless it gets taken out by these Twin Blades, with the bullfrogs going into that battle for absolutely no reason, and actually a couple of terror drones going to be sneaking into those units and most likely will be able to take them out unless they actually run back. And the satellite drop not going to be doing a whole lot because Messican was paying attention and drove his force over to here, but I don't know why he hasn't set that Naginatana back to get repairs and save it, because it will get taken out eventually, and he is not going to turn around. And the Twin Blades being super annoying but getting taken out. A couple of them do go down, as well as a couple of bullfrogs, and the single Naginatana going to die pretty soon, and the bullfrogs taking down 1 and maybe even 3 jet tangus do go down for the price of a single terror or a single Twin Blade, I do believe, and going to be turning the Twin Blades around to do a little bit of damage to that Yari mini sub and take down 1 more jet tangus. With the Sea Wings are here for support, and then Naginatana just barely holding on, and Eminence may get chased out of here completely by Messican. I wouldn't be surprised to see him sell off these buildings, as they will most likely get taken down, and vruatsa somehow still in this game, getting all the way up to tier 3. And going to be running his MCV. Eminence is fully on the run in full retreat, going to even be sending his army to the other side of the map just about, mostly just Twin Blades, but a couple of bullfrogs for support. Not a bad unit combo, of course, versus this much stuff from Messican. I think Eminence is just trying to buy time and swing around and maybe do some damage to Messican's main base, which there actually isn't a whole lot here. There are no static D, and it's just a couple of tsunami tanks, so a swing in here, especially with the weakened economy of Messican. By weakened economy, I do mean slow economy, as in he has not expanded, so he still doesn't have enough money. Going to be going for the naval yard, or rather the Imperial docks, and they will be able to take out this single Sea Wing if they actually focus it down, but another one is most likely being produced, and that Sea Wing will survive just a little bit longer until the single Twin Blade turns around and takes it out, and then the Imperial docks will go down, which will put more money into the Mecha Bay, allow that unit to finish and not another unit to be produced. And it does look like the bullfrogs are going to be running away, and a single ore collector will go down. But the tsunami tanks are here to chase away the bullfrogs, so that the Twin Blades will get taken out quite easily by the tangus. Just kidding, because the tangus did get taken out by the fully heroic Bullfrog, and vruatsa expanding yet again, so now he's up to that proper 4 war nodes that everyone else has basically been on for this entire game, because, you know, why would you expand past 5, says Messican, when you could build a giant tier 1 army, which actually, in all fairness, much of his army isn't tier 1, but that huge wave of jet tangus, instead of building other units that are a little bit harder hitting, maybe even the sea wing, since most of his army is on the water and most of the map is water, but even a single bear out of vruatsa chilling over there and just keeping an eye on Eminence, and Eminence going to be setting the rest of his army up, but will it be enough to stop Messican or even just do some damage? I'm surprised that these Shoguns aren't both firing on that refinery. Oh, just kidding, they are, and now a fully heroic Shogun battleship going to be pretty hard to deal with, but it does look like Eminence is going to be heading up to the top right corner, not even going to be bothering with the army. He's just trying to do some damage, but there are 3 Shoguns here. If he can keep the Kula subs close enough to the Shoguns, they will not be able to fire on them. Always a bit of a challenge, but trying to take out the Shogun battleships without losing too many of the twin blades. With so many of the twin blades, 3 of them are just a single hit or so away from getting taken out. One does go down right there on vruatsa. I can't believe that he is still in this game, and not only that, but he's expanding like crazy. I don't think he has much of an army. Just kidding, he has 4 Kirovs. So Kirov reporting is going to be the words that you hear, and then you go into a frantic, I'm going to build a whole lot of anti-air mass. You just, anytime you hear that, you just mass out anti-air, especially in Red Alert 2, actually particularly in Red Alert 2. As are we going to be seeing the 4 Kirovs move out? No, he's just going to be chilling right here, not doing anything right now. Of course, the tier 2 and tier 3 chilling in the corner, and actually throwing down a Tesla coil and then a flak cannon, and the dog is freaking out for absolutely no reason. Ore refineries going down 2 at a time because of that crane, and Messican going to be coming over here and taking out Eminence with his Shoguns mostly, and even using those 5 tank buster support power. I'm really surprised that he hasn't taken out the crane yet, as the crane is going to be the only build queue left for Eminence, and he should be in range with those Shogun battleships, and the twin blade's going to be able to do quite a bit of damage, especially if they go over here and actually take down the Mecha Bay and that single chopper Striker VX that is going to be guarding in and taking down the economy a little bit more of Messican, deciding not even to rebuild those ore collectors. Going to be running over here with the twin blades and taking out that single Striker VX finally, and then probably going for the Mecha Bay. He is going to be unloading a couple of rockets there, and Messican going to be able to clean up a couple of more Kula subs from Eminence, and the rest of Eminence's base is somehow still standing, but just barely, only attacking with a couple of units at a time. Not going to be running any jet tanks over here to do extra damage. And we are going to be seeing even more twin blade mass amounts of damage, even on the Conyard, taking out that Mecha Bay before anything really gets built by Messican. And even the Conyard will go down right there. So Eminence somehow doing an insane amount of damage to Messican, while then Messican is in turn doing quite a bit of damage to Eminence. And both of these players going to most likely essentially eliminate themselves. And then, no, vruatsa, there's no way he's gonna win this. 5 Kirovs moving out across the map. Somehow, I have no idea how vruatsa deciding to come back in this game and show us all that he is absolutely crazy for being able to survive this long, grabbing him Soviet MCV. I forgot that he actually started out as an Allied player, but now he's completely transformed, making this 3 Soviets in a single Empire match. Of course, time for change has already left, and it does look like Eminence is going to be forced out of this game quite shortly. The super reactor going down, doing a massive amount of damage, and even the war factory getting sold off just to gain a couple of extra credits. But the twin blade's still up here doing damage, so not able to bring anything to the forefront to deal with these twin blades, which now 5 out of 6 of them are fully heroic. And the 6th one is that veteran epic status, and even going to be taking down the nanotech mainframe, bringing the tech down to actually nothing. Basically, Messican has nothing. He has a couple of buildings left and 2 refineries, and I believe that will be it for him. Not even an MCV, not an expansion anywhere on the map. And vruatsa, on the other hand, going to be setting up mass expansions everywhere and moving on with his MCV without even scouting. Not a good move, but this could be it for Messican. He has 1 building left, and is that going to be enough to sustain him to kill off Eminence? I don't think so. Eminence actually running his MCV to the corner of the map, and it does look like Natasha is going to be out for vruatsa, going to be hunting down the last few units of the opposing players. Eminence isn't probably going to have enough to go down, and there! Messican has been defeated. I thought he was going to be able to take this game, and now it's kind of looking like vruatsa will be able to take this game, especially considering how scattered Eminence is, and where are those Kirovs going to be way up here, but 4 Bullfrogs will be able to do quite a bit of damage to these Twin Blades, especially since the Twin Blades rockets do not auto relocate. They don't change targets mid-fire, but actually only going to be taking down 2 of those Twin Blades, and then he's like, oh crap, there's 4 Twin Blades there, or 4 Kirovs, not Twin Blades. The Twin Blades are saying, oh, hey, there's a whole bunch of Kirovs there, and actually going to be trying to set up shop in the middle of whose Tesla coil is that? I actually can't tell whose Tesla coil that is. It is going to be, I think, vruatsa's Tesla coil, which means he is going to be able to do massive amounts of damage to this Akula sub, but more importantly to the MCV of Eminence, and I don't even know if that Tesla coil, yes it can, and taking out single. And that is going to be it for Eminence, single Akula sub for Eminence, and vruatsa somehow able to come back in this game. Not something that I would have guessed. That was just so weird, such a wonky game, a crazy game. And let's just go ahead and take a look at that resources, because I mean, vruatsa did what Messican should have done in that he mass expanded. He didn't just sit on those 4 nodes and try and come back in that 24-minute game, but as you can see, completely plateauing there and just flatlining and staying in the game. I probably would have left the game just to observe it and, you know, try and make my call from there, and then from there, Eminence probably would have won just by a little bit, because vruatsa really didn't do anything for like 5 or 10 minutes there, just chilling in the back, rebuilding, and ended up winning the game somehow, some way. So that is going to be it for this game. Mates, free-for-alls, turns out this one was pretty awesome. I will see you guys next time. This is going to be Sybert signing out.